Witucki. My career before I came to Ashland was with Ford Motor Company. I was there for 32 years in the Detroit area. My job, I had several. Most of it was in product planning, or what we call marketing planning. It was basically a quasi-engineering, quasi-marketing job. My background was in marketing, but I had a degree in engineering, so I got shuffled off into the area where that would be the interface between the two. We arrived here in 2000 and we joined almost immediately. Interestingly, I was thinking about that. We did not know about OLLI. It was not one of the variables that was involved in the move. But when we found it, it seemed perfect for us. We had read about programs like OLLI or SOLIR at that time, and just found ourselves very fortunate to have found a program like that here. I've volunteered in various cleanup committees. I've been on the council. It's been kind of an assorted job. Anything that really needs to be done where I feel I can help, I've generally said, yes, I'll be glad to do that and help you. There were a couple things. The problem that OLLI or SOLIR was having at that point in time, in my view, the weakness. There was a lot of strengths, and they were I think, pretty easy to identify. And then the weaknesses were pretty much a physical plant. We were, at that point in time, in 3 classrooms, A, B, and C, and everything was antiquated. The audio-visual was horrible. We had really smashing set of green lawn chairs that we would sit in, and if you didn't get to the class early, you would basically not be able to hear or see what was going on. So those were the people were absolutely wonderful. I mean, they were the strength of the organization, and we were kind of making do, but it needed to start to change, and we had some accumulated funds over time, and then there was a debate of how do we improve the classroom facilities, and that's what started basically the electronic stuff and a different set of chairs, and that we moved on from there. And then, of course, many people after that have done a lot more with, and gotten a lot more money, which was all good and positive. The university was not, it was an entity that was born in and attached to the university, but it was really not fully integrated with the university. And I don't think that there was a total recognition by the university at that time of how important learning in retirement is to people in the community, and how it can interlace the community and the university in a much more meaningful fashion. So that was probably the only challenge. And the other challenge, of course, is we just didn't have a lot of money to go around. I mean, the electronics was in its very infancy, really, in terms of projections and videotapes and so forth and so on. And so we were trying to fight that battle, but we were doing it without a lot of money. I remember buying a computer would be a massive undertaking for the organization, and of course they were a lot more expensive at that point in time too. But that was primarily it. The people were wonderful, as I said. I just, if you wanted a real strength of the organization, it was in that when I joined, it was like 5 or 6 years into the program. There were a lot of the original volunteers that were, or the founders were still there. And they were very enthusiastic. They were very dedicated to learning. The organization itself was primarily academic. The course, and so the people that were there loved learning. They really wanted to participate and learn and volunteer, and we really never had much. I never had much of a problem getting people to help or do something that needed to be done. So it was, from that point of view, it was fairly easy being on council and getting the council to do things. I think it's probably the growth, Paul. The growth and the fact that there's a lot more money, and it seems to it's changed the texture of the organization. It used to be a lot smaller, a lot more intimate, and yeah, there's some hardships in terms of physical space and the physical equipment, but having said that, there was a camaraderie, and I don't see it. That may be totally my perception of the thing, but I just don't see as much. I don't know. Camaraderie, I guess, is the best word I can come back to. To me, it's much more of an organization that people come and they'll take classes, but they don't volunteer, and they feel like that this is something that they're paying for, more of a service. In the early days, it wasn't that way at all. It was pretty clear from the time you arrived that it was a volunteer organization. They needed volunteers, and they cherished the role they played in the organization. I felt this way for a while. It's been harder and harder with a growing population and the limitation on facilities to match up with the number of interesting quality courses and find interesting quality teachers to teach those courses. And that, if there's going to be a limitation, it's that. You can grow people, but you got to grow the structure and the organization, the academics simultaneously. And I see courses being offered, but courses are either repeats or alternatively they're some of them are kind of self-serving. But then on the other hand, as a positive, you've gotten a lot of people that have moved into the area and are willing to share and teach, and that's been always the original thrust of OLLI. It was sharing life experiences and lifelong learning with a bunch of other people who were interested and didn't know the material that you knew. I think that there are many backgrounds that can be beneficial to the council, and I think the biggest thing you're looking for is people that are willing to get in and think and contribute what they can and how they and it's that melding of perspectives that make the organization come together and work. And again, back to the basic core, love of learning. This is a learning organization where we're a lot of this electronics and stuff like that is important, but really when you come down to the core of it, it really is the courses and teachers, and that's what makes OLLI a very important thing to the community.